Well, welcome in, guys. This is my beautiful girlfriend, Dina. Um, she's a giggly person these days. This is just chatting with Joe. Normally, it's just a solo show. Normally, it's just me for the last 22 episodes, I think. I think this is episode 23. But finally got a guest. Finally got her here. I'm at her house, sleeping on the ground. But today, we really want to be talking about, things like Christian couples, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about putting God first, because it's something I've talked about plenty of times. I know her and I have discussed it, because it's just something that I made point to establish way on before we started dating officially.
Can I cut you off?
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember being in the driveway
Yeah,
after Bible study
I know
when
exactly
you said
where it
that. I guess, I don't know, that was like the first or second time you drove me home from Bible study, and you were like, God has to come first when we start dating. And even now, like, you just said this earlier, but my feelings can't be mixed up with you
Yeah,
and God. And who's who? And who's saying what?
yeah. And that's the whole point for me, at least. Like, right, God's number one in my life, and God's the reason I'm able to wake up. Jesus is the reason I'm able to do these things. Jesus is the reason I live. And I want that same thing for her, right, on her own accord. I want her to desire. I want her to have that focus. And I don't want any feelings we may have for each other to be mixed up with the feelings that we have with God. And that's a thing that I was concerned about, hearing plenty of stories with, other young men I know that they lead a girl somewhere, or the girl leads some guy to Christ, and the moment they split, that relationship with Christ is gone, because they had all those feelings to the person connected also with God. And so now that is taken away, and I never want that. I don't think we're going to be breaking up one bit. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think this is my for-lifer. But still, I don't want that risk. I don't want the risk that I die or she dies and our relationship with Christ is gone. I don't want that. And so that's why putting God first is so important, but it just makes things a lot easier, and we're going to get into that. But first, I just want to ask you this question. This is our second time recording. How has a God first relationship changed your view on relationships? And if you rather me go first and then you talk about it as well, but
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. I think, right, so a God first relationship for me, this is technically, I was saying this in our first recording, so she's going to hear it again. This is technically like my first genuinely God first relationship. I've said in past relationships where, God's first, God's this, but I didn't truly try and take an effort to make that be the case. I didn't truly try and make an effort to sacrifice like I need to sacrifice for God in our relationship, to make sure I'm, I think about how I want to spend my life with this lady. That means I have to learn how to lead like Christ wants me to lead. I have to learn how to make decisions like Christ wants me to make decisions. I have to learn that my actions don't necessarily just affect me anymore. It also affects her. And that makes it, my actions, how I think about my actions, way more important, way more valuable, because now, one, it kind of helps me make better decisions, because now it's not just me. It's not just consequences only weighing on me. It's also on her. And so my view on a relationship is completely different now. Now it's like, it's genuinely, one, the relationship's better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm able to love her to the fullest because I get all my love from Christ first. But because I'm loving God first and putting God first in our relationship, that means, I'm going to do my most to treat her the right way, do the right things, and, keep her out of danger or any drama out in the outside world. We're in college, so there's plenty of things that could pop up, all these different things. I'm going to try my fullest to, say there's even a party full of people. I don't want myself necessarily even like getting there and knowing I did nothing wrong. And if she's not in that same room and there's a rumor that spreads, like, that's a thing that pops in my mind. oh, he was in that room and so was there. I don't even want that to be the case, right? So it's like knowing that all these different things, I just got to keep myself from all these dangers, and it's the reality. You know, I've talked to certain pastors about it as well. Like they said, they don't even hug girls, all these different things, just to. I don't want anyone to have the wrong idea because they have a wife and all these different things.
I think with you saying that, some people find you like he's passive sometimes, but I don't think that's the case. I think you're just trying to protect yourself, but also not someone that's like. Go ahead. Did you have something to say?
Good. I want you to answer this question.
Yeah, I know. I had something in my brain and I can't think of it. You mentioned it earlier, like you slept on the floor last night. A lot of people wouldn't do that. Even when I go to Florida, he sleeps on an air mattress and I get to sleep in bed, which is nice. But just being in college, like he said, there's a lot of things that come up all the time. And even watching like our friends' relationships, the ones that aren't in Bible study with us and like following Christ, there's a lot of unnecessary fights or like unnecessary events that happen. And I feel like with us, if something were to come up, even with other like couples that we know, it's not a problem as it would be if God wasn't first. Because 9 times out of 10, you're like, well, here's a verse. Well, here's something that will help you. And I'm like, okay, got it. But I've never been in a Christ first relationship at all. So I wouldn't say this was a change, but it was a growing, like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
I needed it. And looking at where I was even just like a year or 2 ago to now is like so much better.
Yeah.
Life is easier with Joe and God.
That's good. Well, we've kind of already hit on this next question I want to talk about. But I like how like you can just look at other people's relationships and you can see. I don't know. I'm not one for drama.
I was going to say, and
bit.
I don't want it to sound like we're judging other people's relationships or like we're criticizing, but you can see where, I mean, we fall short all the time, but we can see where other people are falling short and not having God first.
Yeah. But like, I mean, like we think about other couples, even other couples I know from the past, like people I don't even know now, but like you see in relationships often in this day and age is so much fighting, arguments about certain things, where it's like,
fought with you ever.
Yeah, we haven't had a genuine fight.
Maybe like I wanted that piece of food and you didn't
Yeah,
give
I don't. If we have but I'm not a argument person, and like for me I'm not fearful of arguments, but I always just think like you can just talk about it, like you can kind of just solve the problem. That's
and
how I've
if you
always
watch Joe's videos, he said in the last one that he doesn't care about much, or like he's very chill, relaxed. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so like that aspect, like it just makes things easier.
Yeah.
But also because like I think we know we have a mediator, and the mediator is Christ.
Yeah.
And so, like, I kind of like she was saying, like I just send Bible verses or tell her like certain things, like she's more of a stressor than I am. She absolutely is. She stresses. She gets a bit angry, and I always point out like what Jesus tells us to do. How Jesus tells us to not worry about tomorrow, focus on what you can do today. And I'm like always remind her of these things. Granted, I was in the same area she was in aspects of that. I've just come to know Christ, know Him in that aspect of life, letting Him change how I view my emotions, how I react. But now we're able to kind of build up each other on that. I mean, I try and build her up in that area. She's probably done a ton when it comes to me socially. I've become more of a social butterfly because of her, which is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely, I know my view on relationship has shifted, but not necessarily fully shifted. I now just know how to actually do it because I've personally been raised in a Christian family, a Christian pastor. My mom's father, my grandpa, was a pastor. So I've only known love, is what I always tell people. I live in that picture perfect family where it's loving, Christ is first, all these different things. I know she wasn't raised necessarily in a Christian family, but for me, it's just kind of always been the case. So I knew what it was, and I knew how it looked. I just necessarily didn't know how to actually do it fully.
Yeah. I think that's where my problem was, is I didn't know how it looked. Mm-hmm. Love my parents. They're great, but...
They're absolutely amazing.
But with that said, it was like there was always a different dynamic. Like, we didn't put God first. Like, sure, we went to church, but I was also raised Catholic. So things were much different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's good.
We've touched on this basically, but if we have any more points, we're just going to go over that. In what way has God-first relationship made things easier or better for us? Like, think back to past relationships,
Just like,
maybe.
I mean, everything. Life is just easier. It's not always a fight. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't have to be. We can talk about things. We talk about pretty much everything. Like, any little thing that's on my mind, I'm like, Joe, we need to go over this.
Let me say this. Every little thing. Everything. There's not a detail in her day that doesn't get told to me.
I heard something.
I love her. I did hear that too.
I know.
It's probably the bat. There's a bat in the house, apparently. But, like, every detail. I joke with her about it because she'll...
Anywho.
She tells me about every detail in her life. She'll call me on FaceTime
Probably
making popcorn.
6 times a day.
She'll be at work. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she tells me everything. I think that's one thing that's different in our sides when it comes to roles or as a Christian, God-first couple. Right, we have roles. I necessarily don't tell you everything out of protection for herself.
Yeah.
Whether it's, just certain things. There's certain things you learn as a young man that, like, I don't need her to know all the drama of the world. And she's already naturally kind of gone into the role, like, I'm the one that kind of, like, her brain just turns off whenever she's with me. And which is good, which means she feels safe. She feels like I can take and handle things, all these different things.
But with that said, I think I'm a very independent person.
She is, absolutely.
When I'm by myself, and then, like yesterday, if I had the bat by myself, I would have been like, all right, I have to handle business. But Joe was here, and I just started crying.
She melted. It was 3 seconds. She saw the bat and immediately started crying.
I don't know, but I think you do take that role over well. And like you said yesterday, you love me enough to sleep on the floor, and you want to be like that next stepping stone, and you want to lead both of us in the relationship, which is good, because I think in past relationships that I've had, at least, it's been like, well, like, maybe if you want to go to church, and it's always been a no. Whereas, like, we met at Bible study.
Yeah.
So kind of had that foundation kind of laid out for us, which is good.
No, so, I mean, there's probably so many other, the reality is, like she said, it makes everything easier, putting God first. Yeah. And it's not an understatement. Like, it's so simple.
I think that even when, it's usually me that doesn't, because I'm still in my growing phases, and he's the first one to remind me there's someone else that you have to go to before you come to me, which is helpful and needed. Right.
I'm always here for her. She knows that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always here. I know she's always there, but it's at the end of the day, I love you. I'm not going to her for 95% of my problems.
Yeah.
Mostly because over the years, I've already internalized my problems in the sense that, like, it's me dealing with them. So I never looked for an outside source to solve them. And so because of that, like, I know God literally, God's there for everything.
Maintenance is here.
All right, I don't know if there was a abrupt cut there, but there was a bat in here last night. Her maintenance guy showed up. We had to deal with the bat situation. He just came in for like 5 minutes, but so I don't know if it abruptly got cut off there, but we really didn't have much more to add. We were basically about to finish the video anyways. So yeah, I just wanted to, again, thank you for, this. I've done these videos plenty. I know she's wanted to do these videos until, 5 minutes with the camera on. She immediately didn't want to do the video because she got nervous, which is fine. I've done these videos plenty. I used to get absolutely terrified recording. I still do sometimes, I kind of just tell myself to stop being a baby.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. But please tell me what you guys want to see. Please tell me what you guys want to, maybe if you want her on again and we talk, maybe if you want more videos. I'm planning on having her in other types of videos. She doesn't know yet, but please know what you want to see, maybe what we can talk about as a Christian couple, or maybe just things in college, other things just as Christians as a whole, So whatever you want to see, we can absolutely talk about. We can do more of these if you guys would like. She's about to get busy. She's going to be in season though, so we'll see how long we can do that for. But anyways, I love you guys. She loves you guys.
Jesus loves you.
And Jesus loves you.